Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon. Today we're going to be talking about the game that got me Legend in Wild Rift. So we're going to be playing Ahri this game. I've been playing a decent amount of Ahri this season. Overall, she's pretty fun, so definitely enjoy her. One of the champions I want to get a lot more into at some point. I've been spamming mostly Viego for a lot of the later Legend climb, but we kind of did a lot of random champions at different points, you know, playing Vi, Warwick, playing autofill for some of it. So kind of like a lot of random stuff. But here we're into Gwen mid. And so you're going to see some early mistakes kind of that we'll talk about. And that's largely due to just me missing a couple last hits just because I had a little over focus on poking. So I definitely want to get a lot of poke onto a Gwen matchup here because that's really, you know, the main way I can abuse my range advantage. But I miss a couple, you know, too many minions. And so he then ends up being able to push pretty hard into me, which isn't the end of the world. But again, it's not great because, again, we just kind of miss a couple minions and lose some gold off that. I don't really mind too much, because in this type of situation, my goal is more to play for like getting a lane advantage in terms of health, because we're the stronger early game, but we don't really, you know, have the like pushing power that Gwen has. So when you're in these types of situations where you do have, you know, the range advantage and you're relatively strong early, you're kind of looking for a lot of that poke and trying to create more volatility within the lane. But again, I just a little bit too much did not focus on getting some last hits, and so we missed a couple minions, you know, barely. So it's a little bit worse, like we're behind a little bit of gold, but it's not anything crazy. And so at this point now, we don't really have, you know, a great opportunity to kill anyone. It's more about finding an eventual recall on mana boots at this point. So a lot of times you kind of play these lanes early, you're sort of testing to see if you can get anything done. And here again, like I'm just able to roam better than Gwen. I just am stronger than her at this point, so I'm totally happy to do that as well. And that's just because we'd had, you know, the lane, like they had the lane push slightly harder, but it was pretty much matched, so we're able to match any roam. And as Ahri, you know, we're very good if we're matching any of those situations, so everything's pretty fine there. Again, here missed a couple last hits I shouldn't have. Other than that, you know, we do decently well at that point, having the Prow to end up rotating. And a lot of our goal in this type of matchup is to be able to impact the map, which we don't do as much early, you know, as we probably could have liked or would have liked to do, but we didn't have a ton of opportunities specifically. So overall, again, really the only things we do here are just looking for decent poke trades around our electrocute onto Gwen when we can. But at this point, Gwen with 5 stacks, you can kind of see like I'm not, or with 4 stacks rather, on her Q, I'm not really trying to do anything crazy. I'm sort of respecting the fact that she can potentially get a really advantageous trade on me and not going too far forward or anything. And I'm only really going to be starting to trade when I want those last hits. So like here, the reason I trade with her there is just because I want the last hits. It has nothing to do with the fact that I wanted to damage her. And so we do lose it slightly, but the wave is pushing into me. And it's mid lane, so it's not like they can dive me or something when I'm a little low HP. So we're pretty fine with everything again here. But again, lane phase, definitely a couple mistakes made. Not perfect, and so we didn't have as many opportunities to roam. I would say definitely the biggest thing is just a bit more of a focus on the wave for me. Would have led to me having prio and being in a bit of a better spot overall. So definitely something to keep in mind when you're into these like Gwen mid's surprisingly not bad, you know, in lane and everything. But when you're into these like melee champions who have decent, you know, kill pressure, you kind of want to be aware of the wave and like make sure that you either push the wave, so you have prio and you have level advantage and then you can trade with them, or you respect their all-in. Like again, Gwen having that first ability when, or the first ability stacked, like when that's stacked, I'm kind of, you know, again, being a bit more passive. And then if I'm able to get on the wave right away, so like here, for example, she ends up taking a really bad roam, and this is kind of where the game starts to be a lot better for us. Like Gwen takes a roam into a situation where even if she kills, that Poppy was already hard winning lane and was already going to get a huge advantage. Like he was already 2-0 the Poppy, and Poppy goes there and just gets another kill. And now at this point, we're able to crash a wave and get multiple plates while Gwen is stuck sharing gold with the Poppy, who again was already winning lanes. So when it comes to roaming in mid lane, you're not only thinking about the gold, which already the Gwen loses way more gold than they, you know, gain from this roam, because they lose a bunch of minions and they lose like 3 plates. So it's already bad in that sense. But then additionally, you're thinking about how much did that actually change anything. So it's like if you go and you roam to someone who's like Poppy was 2-0, had the wave crashing, and was about to dive Gnar anyways, does that really change anything? And the answer, you know, there is definitely no. Whereas here, again, we're roaming to a lane that has, again, a lot more, you know, is a lot more equal, where we can actually find things and get things done. And so then we're able to get the kill there. and then we're able to push the bot wave after. So Gwen's not mistaken for pushing the wave after you roam. You usually do want to push the wave. I'm trying to get my Caitlyn to go there because I'm too low to go and match that Gwen, so it makes more sense for me to go to this lane. Caitlyn, not the smartest, unfortunately, but it is what it is. But either way, again, we do that after we get our roam, and again, we roam after we kind of get the wave pushed when we see the opportunity and everything like that. And so we're able to overall get a lot more value from that. And so Caitlyn eventually, luckily, does go mid, and because Caitlyn goes mid, obviously I'm going to go bot. Eventually, you're going to see me want to swap back because I am relatively strong and I want to definitely spread my lead where I can. But obviously, initially, we're going to be covering this lane, and then we're going to look to find an angle back into mid when we can. But it's very important as a mid laner to understand it's totally fine to cover another side lane if your teammate's going to go mid, for example, or if you roam and then you cover the lane, you know, if your teammate covers mid, let that happen. You know, rather than thinking you only have to ever go mid lane. There's definitely these opportunities for these kinds of swaps. And then again, we push it, and now at this point, this is when we should swap back. You're going to see that Caitlyn doesn't swap back, but sometimes this is going to happen, and there's one of two things you can do. You can either stay in the lane and just keep covering. I didn't really want to do that because it felt like the game was not progressing very well. Or you can just go and, you know, stack mid with them and then just use the fact that the enemy are bot to just get like a turret like we do here. So we just use the fact that we have numbers advantage here to just get a turret. So it's really not, you know, a problem at all. And so we get the turret, we lose bot, but it's not the end of the world. And at this point, we have to be pretty careful because their Poppy is pretty fed. But we're able to find a nice engage onto the Gwen there and then go onto the Poppy afterwards. I should have targeted Soraka here instead of Graves. Kind of a mistake by me there. But oh well, you know, it is what it is. We still play that fight pretty well overall. We're able to get a couple of resets, a couple kills. And now we just are pretty much poking them. Unfortunately, I do get caught out by the Graves there, but we have flash and we have the eventual TP from Gnar as well. So overall a good fight. After we win that fight, again looking to get bot gold. Like, I'm pretty much useless in that fight, so instead of just going back to the fight, I'm going to get the fruit. I'm going to push out the bot waves and get myself additional gold there, which again is kind of a common mistake people make. They stay in those fights a lot longer than they need to when they're already basically out of the fight, or the fight's basically already over. And so doing that, we get bot pushed already, which lets us get back onto the map first, which means that our tempo is better than Gwen now, who is just still stuck on bot side. So understanding those types of things too, you know, resetting quickly after fights, again, that means that now I get to get on the map first, which means I get to go top side and find additional gold again. So just kind of this constant movement around the map, again, is very important in a game like this. And again, because of that, we're able to be very, very strong in terms of gold. Obviously, I have a couple kills here, and then now we push top. We kind of start our cycle going into the mid lane now. Kind of the concept that I've talked about in a lot of my videos of like cycling between waves. So you push a wave out, then you go to another side of the map, and then another side. So like we started pushing bot there, then we pushed top, and we were going to go mid, but obviously we see Gwen's low, so I'm trying to kill Gwen because I'm a KS demon like that. And I see a bigger wave bot, so I end up going bot instead of mid because the mid wave is still going to get stopped. And again, bigger wave, you know, bigger is always better. You know, which kind of hurts in my case, but that's completely besides the point. Anyways, we go bot, we look for the turret here, obviously, since the turret is pretty low, and we have a wave here, and so now we're able to get a turret out of that. So again, you see, like, once again, we're cycling between different parts of the map and finding as much gold as we can on different parts of the map, rather than valuing, for example, that random fight topside, where basically nothing is really going to happen. I don't have my ult, I don't have my flash, like, I go to that fight, I am very, very useless. So instead, again, after we push out the bot, we cycle towards the mid lane, and now we're getting a bunch of mid gold, and just again constantly cycling, getting as much gold as possible. This is really what you're looking for in the mid game. So again, early game, I would say definitely my lane phase had some improvements to be made in that matchup, you know, with losing some last hits and not focusing enough on prio. But you see in the mid game, we're just accelerating our gold. We're over 900 gold per minute already in a game where we only have 2 kills. It's not like we have a million kills. And then here now, like if we see a fight angle, now that I have ult and my flash is coming up and I have proto belt, now I might be more keen on looking for it. So it's also understanding, like, how likely am I to win that fight? When I have those additional cooldowns, I might be a bit more likely. Obviously, you know, nothing ends up happening, but you can just see that additional prioritization of the fight is going to occur for me when I'm actually stronger. Like, I'm hitting really good spikes there. I hit, again, Proto Belt plus Infinity Orb, and I have all my cooldowns. So now I'm going to be a bit more keen on looking for something. It's not that I'm not valuing gold, it's just that now I think that the likelihood of me getting that gold from those fights is increased compared to before. Whereas before, again, I'm very unlikely to do much in those fights. And then at this point, we're just controlling mid as well, looking for some poke onto the Gwen there. Because we do want mid control as well. I would say it's possible I could have covered bot a little earlier here, but I think it's pretty fine overall since my teammate is covered. My Gnar dies like 11 times this game or something, by the way. that guy was going for like a world record, you know, of deaths. So I respect it, you know, honestly. You got to respect the grind there. But again, we kind of push the mid and then we can look for something, but the Jinx does show up, so it's a little hard. But basically here we kind of want to play towards our stronger people, which, you know, no one's that strong apart from me on my team, but we want to play around our dual lane because they're feeding a little, you know, they're not feeding, whereas the what you call it is kind of feeding. And then we do find the kill there. Unfortunately, I mechanically play this pretty bad. I should have flashed and then Protobelt ulted on Jinx and I would have killed her. But I Protobelted into a wall instead. And so we die there. So mechanically, definitely didn't use my flash well there or anything like that. So we do die. Definitely more mechanical misplays, you know, when I'm playing these champs I'm less proficient on. Like a lot of people, again, they'll watch like a high elo player and they'll think like, oh, they're just gonna, you know, do well in every champion. I mean, I've played Arya. You guys watched me play Viego recently too. Like I've played these champions, but they're champs I'm way less comfortable on if you compare them to Syndra, Orianna, Vi, Thresh, Jace, whatever. Like everyone has their champs they're really good at, and a lot of times, you know, you find these additional panicking kind of moments, and that's why Ahri and Viego are probably the champions I'm wanting to learn the most this season and get really, really good at this season because they're just like a lot of fun to play. And so they're the kind of champs I want to sort of get to that point where I am super, super comfortable not making those, you know, silly kind of mistakes, like not flashing or not comboing your abilities entirely correctly in those types of moments. So definitely something I'm looking to continue to improve on. And here we just want to hover the Baron side because Baron is obviously more important than Dragon. The enemy are really overextended here, so we're able to get them pretty much for free. And we get the Soraka as well. So pretty much a free Baron at this point. The enemy are just contesting the wrong sides of the map pretty much for no reason. So, you know, nothing too complicated. We just let our team get the Baron, make sure we cover mid, because we could tell that Gwen was looking for mid. So instead of just continuing to hit the Baron, when I knew we already had Baron taken, I go and I cover mid so we don't lose a mid tier 2, which is obviously going to be much more valuable. And then we go for a nice little flash play onto the Gwen there, and we do end up getting her killed. So that was nice. And then Graves is obviously the next target here, and we're able to find him as well. So pretty straightforward at this point, you know, how we want to approach a game like this. Just following our team CC, targeting a lot of times the Soraka when we can is definitely important. I have the anti-heal so that the Jinx is not as big of a problem, getting healed by the Soraka, for example. And yeah, at this point, again, just looking for mid turret and then, you know, kind of backing off after we get the mid turret, I believe. I mean, maybe we can find a kill, but yeah, we pretty much just leave after the mid turret. And then I believe I end up going top side here because I realized, like, the goal of this Baron is obviously to take turrets. There's a turret up top side that I can get. There's not really a turret bot that I'm going to be able to get within 30 seconds, most likely. So I'm initially walking towards the top side, but obviously we see an angle to fight, so we're going to look and see if we can find anything there. And we do. Poppy kind of, you know, a little bit of an annoying champion for Ahri because of all the dashes, but either way, we're able to get a couple kills as a team here. Then I get my reset, but I don't think the reset turns into anything really. But yeah, you can kind of tell I'm liking reset champions. I don't know, they're so satisfying. Like when you get like one reset and then you kind of pop off and carry an entire fight. Like that's really what I've been enjoying lately with the Ahri, the Viego. So here at this point, I do want to probably recall. So initially, I'm trying to push out bot. Like it's important to get as much gold again from one fights as possible before resetting. Like a lot of people be like, "Oh, I have death cap." Just leave, but 3 of the enemy are dead. We still have the tempo advantage. We have the ability to make an additional play to get another turret and then take the recall. Like now my team's staying up here. This is too much, you know, like they shouldn't be doing this. We don't have Baron. The enemy now are respawn. We're not going to do anything there. And this is when, like, again, people just lack this understanding of tempo where they're going to be way too aggressive after the enemy have respawned or, you know, that type of thing. Whereas again, you do want to make sure you're taking advantage of whatever you can out of a one fight. But definitely gotta, again, make sure that you're not overextending, and that's a very common mistake that I see from a lot of people. And then here we just want to basically zone them like their jungler is dead, so, you know, just walk into the traps for fun, and get this red buff for free pretty much. And yeah, again, like we use the fact that someone is dead that's important on the enemy team to take advantage of that. Like our Nard being dead doesn't really matter. He's kind of always dead, and he's not very useful. Whereas their Graves, you know, is their jungler, obviously. So if we're able to take those camps from him when he's dead, it's going to be pretty important. Caitlyn randomly AFKing for like 5 seconds. I don't know why. I've had so many AFKs lately in general. Not just like, obviously there, those 5 seconds, but like, I think a lot of people are not loading in. Like there's like that loading in glitch where a lot of times people don't load in for the first minute or 2 of the game. It's kind of insane how often that happens. But yeah, either way here, We do almost have Morellos. If I got that cannon, I would have had Morellos, but instead I realized, you know, I got to get this this Scuttle Crab, and then again we want to reset and then fight after we get our power spike of Morello. I mean, Morello is nothing crazy in terms of power spikes, but it is obviously nice. We wanted the anti-heal because of Soraka, and I mean Graves and Jinx heal a lot too. If they're going Bloodthirster, which they might be, I'm not sure actually, but I mean it's enough just for Soraka anyway. Gwen heals a lot too. And then here they try to go onto the Baron, but it's just very greedy. There's not really any way they're ever actually going to be able to get Baron there. I don't really know why they wanted to, or why they thought they could, but either way we're able to get a couple kills there. I think we get the Poppy in the end as well, so nice little triple kill there for the Ahri. I don't know why they started Baron. Like, it didn't really make any sense or anything like that, but you know, you got to respect them for trying, I suppose. And so we get the Baron there. And we'll just kind of show you guys Gwen killing my Gnar again, because that Gnar just, he likes dying, you know, it's kind of his thing. He's sort of into it. I don't know, it's some weird kink, I don't know, but it's very strange. So top does get a turret, I believe, as well. So we kind of, you know, again, we're never like too far ahead in this game because of the constant kind of feeding on side. Then like we're up 4k gold even when I'm 10-1 and 7 and we have Baron and everything. So kind of a game where we permanently had to still be aware of the fact that we could throw, even when it kind of felt like we were in the driver's seat the whole game. So again, just making sure we're targeting kind of the Soraka when we can, or any champion that just looks killable, of course. That's pretty much the gist of what we're doing here. Here I look for something. We end up finding the Graves right away because he's overextended. And then we're able to, again, just do a bit more in the fight. I don't know if we actually are able to kill anyone else, but maybe. No, not really anything. Just a little bit of poke on the Soraka there. But again, we find that pick onto the Graves and pretty much just picking off any other squishier backline. Generally useful for us. Poppy's really the biggest problem. I mean, the Gwen is pretty strong, but like Poppy in terms of champs, I can't really kill. A little bit of a problem. But their Poppy kind of ints, so it's mostly fine. And at this point in this fight, there's nothing too complicated that we're doing. We're pretty much waiting for ult to come up before we actually like hard play the fight or anything. We are able to outplay the Jinx there a bit, and now my ult's coming up, so this is when we're kind of looking for a play again, playing around those cooldowns. And so we flash onto the Soraka there, we get her, and we end up getting the Gwen as well. So we get a little triple kill there. Definitely like a pretty pop-off game to get Legend. I don't think we end quite yet, but we're able to end pretty soon here. Obviously at this point we're pretty fed. Pretty much just getting, again, as much as we can out of these one fights, trying to get a couple inhibs, but being careful to not, you know, throw or anything like that. The Gnar is not, you know, really worried about throwing. He's trying to get that death record, and you got to respect it again, you know. But here we do kind of get close to getting caught out by Poppy, but my movement speed for my W and the charm ends up helping me escape. So even a little aggressive there for me, but we do end up getting out, and we get 2 inhibs out of it, so definitely worthwhile. Gnar is dead for the start of Elder, but again, as we said, we don't really expect much else to happen. We're pretty much just looking for another pick onto any squishy champion, or in this case, Poppy. If Poppy is going to just get caught for no reason, you know, we won't be surprised by that. I think that's what ends up happening. Yeah, and I get really low, so I almost kind of threw here. Like, if I did die, like, I went too hard on the Poppy. Like, you could kind of see that's really the big mistake there, is I tried to kill Poppy too hard. And trying to kill Poppy isn't really practical. Even if I end up killing Poppy, I'm going to waste, like, all of my burst and cooldowns, so it really wasn't worth it to do that, and it almost resulted in me dying. Could have thrown the game, potentially, so that would have sucked. But we do end up killing the Gwen, luckily, and we end the game here, so we'll show you guys then the Legend kind of thing. I think we're like rank 60 or so in Legend queue now with the Legend, so there it is, getting Legend. So nothing crazy. We're probably looking for Sovereign now. I'm like Challenger right now in regular rank, so we'll be going for Sovereign there. Obviously playing a lot of Viego, maybe some more Ahri as well, who knows. But overall, that's really it for the video. Just wanted to show you guys us getting Legend. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.